What's up, everybody? It's Jason here from Film Fanatic Productions. Thank you all so much for coming to my channel today. So today, we are doing, finally, episode 5 of my ongoing series where I watch every single Disney classic film in celebration of Disney's 100th anniversary this year. So, if you guys didn't see my last video I reviewed the Disney classic Dumbo, which came out in 1941. So if you want to see that reaction, check out the bumper on the top right corner of your screen. And I hope you guys enjoy it, because that one's a lot of fun to do as well. But today, we're doing the fifth movie that was released by Walt Disney Animated Studios back in 1942, and that is, of course, Bambi. Now, Bambi, this is actually the final Disney classic film that's part of the original Golden Age before the outbreak of World War II, which kind of changed productions, as you might know, of the Walt Disney Company. But this one actually came out just at the onset of when America entered the Second World War, and this one actually was in development as early as 1938, because it was originally, as was Dumbo, it was a children's story, and it was bought by Walt Disney and he acquired rights in 1937, I believe, and he's actually been starting to develop it in 38, and it was supposed to be the second one, supposed to even come out even before like Fantasia or Pinocchio even came out, but they ended up deciding those projects were ones they invested more in early on. So this actually came out just a little later in 1942, and this one actually has many of the same animators on some of the earlier films. Obviously, David Hand, who was just so pivotal in the Walt Disney's early history, he was back on there too, as well as some of the musicians that are done stuff with like Fantasia or with Dumbo or even with the Pinocchio. They returned for some of their musical talents, and this film was actually. And you'll be fascinated how many similarities we'll see in this video. How many similarities this kind of has with, in my opinion, with Fantasia. And this one, actually, Bambi, all the animals, because it's mostly centered in the forest, is where Bambi is set in. And it's actually, they studied the animals just like they did in Fantasia when they were trying to animate those scenes too. So it's cool to see how Walt Disney, how he got his animators to see and study how the characters they're going to be animating, how they work, and how they would feel so they can get the most realistic animation style for the film. And this film wasn't as budget intensive as, say, Fantasia was. This one is much more simpler, and it didn't make too much in profit, but it did. I think it did both nationally and some internationally too. It got a little bit of profit too, so that was obviously good for the Walt Disney Company, because this is in their first early years. They're trying to make more money so they can continue their company. But actually, in fact, this one actually, in the complete reversal from what it is today, it was actually received very poorly by critics, and I think I read something where even one of Walt Disney's some of Walt Disney's family said that they don't know, they kept pressing him, why did Bambi's mother have to die in this film. It was just crazy things how movies they turned from being on their first release, like this wasn't really considered a very good film when it first came out, but obviously over the years it's gotten such a good following, and it's been seen much better in retrospect. But turning now, this one, I thought personally it was a pretty simple story, and I was surprised with actually how simple it was, because it's about a little over an hour runtime, about 1:10, I think, an hour and 10 minutes is around runtime of the film, and the first half of it was just. You would think it would be just a pretty nice story wise too. Obviously, we see Bambi from when he's first born, and you see him progressing as he got older, and his relationship with Thumper and with Flowers in the film. That was actually a really nice. I like the relationship they all had as friends, and throughout the entire story, we see how they grow, not just individually, but also as we'll get to later, how they eventually grow up to be, despite some hardships they had in their lives. And it was actually pretty well done, the animation style. It was very beautiful wise. It was obviously hand done, as things were back then, and the transitions were nice too, especially in the beginning part, especially in the first part, also some parts in the middle part of the film. They had some beautiful transitions with colors to that too. And actually, I really visually wise, I really enjoyed some of the colors they did when it was in the fall season. That actually was very nicely animated. I really did enjoy that. But this one is actually got kind of, as I said before, it kind of reminded me of Fantasia a bit, because some of the songs, like the April Showers one, you see it's kind of like the surreal of nature, and how the nature operates with like a thunderstorm during one of the scenes with Bambi and his mother. They kind of sync that with kind of the music, how the music operated, and like every little raindrop or leaf or thunder was a different kind of instrument they used. So that kind of reminded me of Fantasia a bit, because Fantasia is obviously was one of the world's very first music videos. So it was very like wherever's happening the scene is very pairs with the music very well. And this one musically, I see it pairs very well to music. It's not trying to be over the top like Fantasia was. Just very sublime. We're not only like 3 or 4 songs actually here in this film. But yeah, it was very good from a music perspective. Well, and one thing I was very surprised about was, since it's been such a long time since I've seen this film, was how late in the film Bambi's mother was. She was shot and I think by a human. And I was out because we get a lot of like teasers, like foreshadowing kind of, I'd say. But I thought it was much earlier in the story. But yeah, it was about halfway through the films when it actually happened, when Bambi's mother unfortunately was killed by a human. And the theme of basically of that conflict between humans and nature and wildlife is one that's is multiple times in this film, is repeated and is kind of commented on from that kind of perspective too. But also like the commentary, how it's like a personal journey of Bambi and Thumper and Flowers, about how after Bambi's mother is killed, about how he progresses. Like it flashes forward years on, and to where he's now a grown deer, and we see Thumper and Flowers. They all sound different. They have different voice actors too. So it's obviously showing the amount of time that's passed since the very first half of it and second part of it, which we really don't see too much, because most times when we see in Disney films, when we see a story, it's literally just like between a matter of a few days or a few weeks of story. But this Bambi is one of the ones that actually it spans quite a number of years, actually, Bambi. So it's almost like an epic of Bambi, kind of, I would say. But yeah, this one is very much, as the second part of the film, is very much focused on his adult life. And obviously, we see more, obviously, as they kind of allude to, maybe in my opinion, a little too much. They kind of related to more of the relationships they were in, like the first loves the first people they love in this film, and some of the other people where the animals that they love and they try to build family with too. Because obviously we see in the end that he had Thumper and Thumper, Flowers, and Bambi. They all, by the end of the film, they all have their own kids, and it's kind of like their own parenthood kind of too. So it's kind of a nice kind of touch too, to see how they grow as animals, and how they become actually parents. So that's a really nice touch that I really enjoyed in this film too. But also, one thing that I've heard a lot, that I've noticed too, and a lot of people say about this film too, one thing that really got them was Bambi's relationship with Faline, this film too. And obviously how he almost killed another deer, or because another deer or stuff is trying to mate with her, but it was actually, he almost killed the deer. So obviously kind of like how the other side of Bambi too, where he can be really aggressive too, and also kind of that little dark side. Because this film is obviously it's lighter tone overall usually, but people often say how dark some aspects of this film are. But if you read the book, it's so much darker. But in this one, obviously, on production too. I think Walt Disney alluded that many times too. They're trying to figure out how can they make Bambi not that dark, but also show some of the realities of the story too. Like for example, Bambi's mother being killed, too, how that affected him. And it was actually overall, I think it was pretty lighthearted to be honest. I think in the end it was definitely so satisfying. Just he became basically the leader of the forest. Basically, obviously you see that last shot too of Bambi. Basically, he's them fading out and seeing basically how last shot about how he's now basically, which would make the king of the forest, almost kind of maybe Lion King kind of built off of Bambi as person rules, because in this story, deers are people like they rule the forest kind of, and they are the protectors and they're the wise old people. So I do kind of like that too, how he transitioned from just a little fawn to all the way up to being basically the leader of all the animals in the forest, which is a really nice touch. But beyond story-wise, the only thing, it was a pretty good movie from my perspective. I do like to say that though, that the firing, like the last few 20 minutes or so was so intense though, with like the humans causing a wildfire to occur, all the fire and all the animals running around. There's a lot of different things that could go about too. But I do recommend that last part is the parts most people should watch, because it's just so much going on in the story wise, and just allegory wise, that you can a lot of people can learn about how humans maybe are treating the forest, have treated the forest in the past, and how maybe we aren't maybe looking out maybe for the best interests of all the animals of forest or in the world, and how we're kind of just looking at us from our perspective, and also that I also was kind of reminded, there's a scene right at the end of the forest fire when all the animals, they all escape and they all look over at the forest and been burned. And it kind of actually reminds me of that last scene from memory of Avatar, kind of, too. After the trees been burned down, and basically the Na'vi people are basically a tree, and then their homes basically destroyed. That kind of reminded me a little bit of that scene, too. Just something that I noticed. But looking from, with 80 years of perspective, 80 years of history since this film was released, it's now obviously, remember, it's one of the pillars of Disney's anime classic films, and it's one of the most fondly remembered ones, not just from my perspective, but millions around the world. And obviously, it was released years and years afterwards, in theaters and DVD, cassette set, everything. So it's much more popular than it was way back then, in 1942. This actually was the last film that was a part of Disney's first golden age, the first 5 films of the Walt Disney Animated Studios. And most of the next 5 films, they really weren't, are mostly forgotten. Next 5 films that we're going to do on this series, and they're pretty short too. They're not really that long, all these films. And really, you don't really see any of the. There's not really any big Disney films until Cinderella, which came out in 1950. But that's not going to be for at least, I think that's like the 11th film, I think if I'm correct, the 11th film of the Disney classic series was going to be. But but obviously Bambi was the last one with, from our journey that we've had so far, from Snow White, to Pinocchio, to Fantasia, to Dumbo, to Bambi. These are the core Disney ones that started it all. And Bambi was actually added to the National Film Registry in 2011. So it's kind of like a full circle kind of how Bambi started from being not really much of a success and not really being liked by audiences too much, to be obviously one of the best anime films that we know of. So and there's actually another fun little tidbit too. Some parts of Bambi were actually used as part of the U.S. Forest Service as their campaign. They started to obviously prevent wildfires and stuff like that too. So kind of also a bit of how movies can interact in our world, in our natural world too. So Bambi's used for years and years as just prevent, like, only you can prevent wildfires. So I mean, Bambi it's got a pretty good legacy all around, and I really did enjoy it, and I'm sure you guys enjoy it too if you guys watch it in your lives. But but beyond that, Bambi, just a good movie, good feel-over movie, and definitely good one to finish off the first 5 films in this series. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I know I did. And as you guys might have said on social media, I got this cool new shirt. I really love the shirt. It's actually from Roosevelt's. I'm not endorsed by them. I'm not doing paid advertisement. I wish I was, but I do recommend going to Roosevelt's because they do have some good quality stuff. They have Harry Potter stuff. They have Star Wars stuff. They have Disney stuff, obviously, and really good. They great shipping. They ship it pretty fast, especially when it ships cross country to where I'm at. But yeah, it's a good quality shirt, and I definitely recommend you guys, if you guys are big Disney fans, get this Sketches to Screen shirt on Roosevelt's.com. It's a really nice shirt, and I've already had it for a day, but I'm already enjoying wearing it. So hope you guys enjoy that video. Stay tuned for the 6th video that we'll get as we get more into the series as the weeks progress on. But also stay tuned for more reaction videos from me, and also catch up on my last Disney videos if you guys haven't seen those ones. So hope you guys have a great day, and always remember, become a film fanatic.